police to probe corruption allegations. Efforts to improve acquittal performance. And disappointment for PNG Kickboxers.
This is National EMTV News with Merapi Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Tuesday's news. Following the Public Accounts Committee inquiry into the shortage of medicine supplies to health facilities, a police investigation is expected to begin by the end of this week. Minister for Health, Jelta Wong, said the Health Department will work together with police to see that those implicated are thoroughly investigated and prosecuted. This comes after a contractor admitted at the inquiry that he paid a bribe to a health official in 2017.
Going on.
Minister for Health, Jelta Wong, says the investigation will establish all facts of whether or not officers followed proper process that may have been criminal in nature. Minister Wong urged the Health Department to stay focused and ensure government services are delivered. The Police Commissioner, David Manning, says that based on the recent Public Accounts Committee inquiry, the police will ensure that a thorough investigation is undertaken.
By what the inquiry has uncovered, and we feel that that's sufficient information for us to form an opinion that it requires a criminal investigation. So basically, where those inquiries lead or those investigations lead, then we will be in our interest, in the team's interest, to pursue those leads.
He added that investigations will begin by the end of the week.
Probably a definitive timeline, probably towards the end of the week. If not after the initial inquiries are made, investigation made, then we'll be able to come back. And we've committed to producing updates if and when it's required.
Secretary for Health, Pasco Kase, says officers who are implicated in the investigation will be suspended.
Yes, under the Public Service Management Law, if there are allegations against officers and they are serious, they will be suspended pending an investigation to take place.
Meanwhile, the daily newspaper The National reported today that the Health Department's corporate manager, Paul Dopsy, who was named during the inquiry for receiving bribes of up to 100,000 kina, has been suspended from office pending investigation. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Merapi recently visited New Island Province. He met briefly with New Island Governor Sir Julius Chan last Tuesday before leaving for Lihir Gold Mine, PNG's largest open-cut mine. The Memorandum of Agreement for the mine is up for review, and this was made known to the Prime Minister on his visit. Annette Cora has more.
The Prime Minister and his delegates were received by the Newcrest executive team in an array of Sing Sing groups at the Lihir airport and were given an exclusive tour of the mine's processing plants, the open mine pits, and a tour of the ring road around the island. The mine is a world-class operation with a vision to see an economically prosperous PNG. Lihir stands committed to work in partnership with all tiers of the government with other industry representatives to discuss resource legislations.
The future of the Lihir mine looks very bright. We have developed a plan for the mine's future that takes into account the vibrant workforce, good collaborative partnerships with our stakeholders, including our landowners, government and business partners. We have so much untapped potential and aim to continue to harness this potential to add value to our operations.
However, he said the Lihir Memorandum of Agreement is one major hurdle that needs attention.
The first time that LGL was invited to be part of was completed in August 2017, and this is now before NEC, and we hope, Prime Minister, with your blessing and those of your Cabinet Ministers, the MOA can be endorsed by NEC soon so we can get on it and sign the document.
Resonating calls to the Prime Minister to have the National Executive Council fast-track the MOA to have it endorsed and signed off with. The MOA entails the disbursement of royalty payments to Namatanai and Quebec for infrastructure projects and projects pursuant to the districts, to which the review was never successful due to internal issues. not giving a foreseeable time frame but acknowledging the concerning call by Newcrest COO, Prime Minister Merapi gave his assurance, pledging his support to have ensured the MOA is fast-tracked and endorsed by NEC at its earliest.
We will attend to those matters that are standing to our landowners. They are very important, your issues ahead. Our government is picking up on many legacy issues that past governments have not attended to. Not only on landowner fronts, but many other areas that we are in the business of cleaning up, and hopefully from now until 2025, we should present a better, cleaner slate to any government who come beyond 2025 as we celebrate 50 years of independence, thereabouts. But for matters pertaining to Lihir, we'll pick them up, attend to them at the very earliest, and hopefully by the time we retire, first quarter next year, there should be a firmer view as to how we will progress Lihir and the new undertakings.
Arit Kora, National MTV News.
Meanwhile, Newcrest Mining Limited is nearing completion of its compensation, relocation and development agreements with landowners. Newcrest Chief Operating Officer Craig Jones says this is a culmination of years of work, particularly by the tenement block leaders, the state team led by Mineral Resource Authority, the Newcrest team and other stakeholders.
The Lihir MOA compensation, relocation and the development agreements, once approved, will propel our development aspirations in Lihir, the Mackay and the wider New Ireland province to even greater heights. We also, of course, are looking beyond the life of the mine and focusing on how we can help create resilient, strong and independent communities. We will continue to engage with our stakeholders, local landowners, government, our workforce and business partners to deliver on the ground projects and commitments. In doing so, we aim to achieve our vision of 0120.
The acting Chief Migration Officer has questioned the process involved in awarding a contract to Tasion Group to manage the Asylum Seeker Processing Center in Manus. In a media conference yesterday, Robert Kennedy claimed there was no proper tender process involved in awarding this contract. He said it's about giving opportunities to landowners to fully participate, and the legitimate landowner company in Manus, where the center is located, is Parent Investment.
In questioning how the contract was awarded to Tasion Group of companies, the acting CMO claimed the former CMO Solomon Kanta was instrumental on this issue. He said there was no proper contractual agreement between the state and Tasion, and the former CMO will be investigated for alleged breach of the Public Finance Management Act.
Perceived contractual agreement through a letter of intent. A letter of intent should not be seen as a service agreement, because it did not follow due processes of the PFMA Act. We have the National Procurement Commissions Act. They properly and they outline all the procedures by which contracts are issued.
According to him, a motion filed by Tasion against the state for alleged contractual breach was dismissed by Wageni National Court last Thursday. He said this is because there was no contractual agreement in place. Department of Immigration First Secretary Thomas Norris says there were no proper tendering process involved in awarding the contract.
One of those other issues was, this is the main issue, and the court has already dismissed this. So there was no tendering process. There was no tendering process in the engagement of Tasion Group. So there is no legal binding contract between Tasion Group and the Independent State of Papua New Guinea through ICA.
The Asylum Seekers Processing Center was first managed through a joint venture between Paladin and a landowner company, Parent Investment. The acting CMO says after the joint venture ceased, the opportunity is now for the landowner company to take full control. He says it is about giving landowners the opportunity to fully participate.
And because they are the landowners, they are the ones who are supposed to be taking over from there to provide those necessary services which is due to the people of Manus who are the landowners. We do not know why and how Tasion has come into existence in this case.
Recently, local landowners in Lorengau also protested against Tasion Group, demanding an answer from the government. They expressed their concerns as to how the contract was awarded to Tasion.
Well, give me mas working straight. Come on, mas working straight. Come on, mas come down. Musa give him contract long all Tasion Group of companies. He come down and explain him. So, all Papa Grand ball one bell. No hard by Mr. Borsem. When the company come up, group of Tasion Group of companies won't be able to come in because they're not the landowners.
But the head of Tasion Group, Sam Tasion, in responding to the protesters, stated that they were invited by the Immigrations Department to bid, and they are ready to work together with all landowners.
We have been in operation over 35 years. We're not here and gone tomorrow. We are here for a long term. We want to create jobs for Malaysians. We want to share. Tasion Group will work with all other landowner groups.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
Senior police officers in Mora have been told to act with good conduct when carrying out the Christmas and New Year police operations in the 9 districts of Mora. Police station commanders and officers in charge of police stations were briefed about the police operations. Provincial Police Commander Alex Drasal said they would focus more on Te Waisiasi, Finchafen, Makam, Bulolo and Kabum district because these districts are isolated and major crimes continue to happen there. Officers were warned not to be under the influence of alcohol during the operation, which begins today and which will end on the 3rd of January 2020. Prime Minister James Merapi has been assured of support from staff of the Department of Prime Minister and National Executive Council. Speaking at the department's Christmas function this afternoon, Chief Secretary Isaac Lupari reflected on 2019, acknowledging the department's efforts in ensuring a smooth transition following the change in political leadership. The department's operational housing policy plan was also launched by the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, I can tell you it's difficult trying to put all the bits together. But I also thank you for your patience, your level of tolerance. Since you joined us, there was never one demand placed on me as the Chief Secretary, my colleagues who serve this department. You have come in and provided the leadership of this department. And we've taken note of your statement. And I call it, and I joined the Minister for Petroleum, who spoke and he said, take back PNG, creating Papua New Guinea as the richest black nation on earth.
Our ethics, our character, our mindset, our own personal management in our workplaces, our commitment to the country, it must start with us. I'm asking you for you to contribute towards putting Papua New Guinea to moon in 10 years. It's about us starting and making the right turn for our country. So what is your calling in life? Don't imagine that you'll be Prime Minister to make the greatest impact for your country. Don't imagine you'll be Chief Secretary to make the greatest impact for your country. Where you are placed today is a designation God has given you to make your mark for your country.
This is National MTV News. We'll be back with more right after these messages. Welcome back to National MTV News. Almost 1.3 billion kina every year is distributed to provinces and districts through services improvement programs. However, this money is never monitored, tracked and acquitted properly. This statement was made by Vice Minister for Finance and Rural Development, Joseph Sungi, during the introduction of the Data Management System project today. Once implemented, it is aimed at monitoring and evaluating all services improvement programs and district information management systems throughout the country. Michelle Stephen with the details.
This project is a first of its kind under a joint partnership with the Australian High Commission through the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade through their Kina Plus Kina basis. Kina Plus Kina basis is an initiative by DFET where DFET provides additional support and funds to initiate projects. The Department of Implementation and Rural Development, before presenting the check of 300,000 kina to the Australian High Commission officials, believe this money will be the foundation to where more support will come in from AHC and DFET in terms of implementing the project.
You can't have this, small number of officers in this department to go and track all the 89 district projects for 1 year only. You have, like, for example, 100 projects funded by the 10 million for one district. Example, in a very remote district like Merapi. How can you do that? It's impossible. So the only way is that we already have information technology, and we have the IT system now in place. So we should now take advantage of that and invite our partners and approach them.
The Vice Minister says once the project is implemented, everything will be recorded in the data system. He says this will also reduce the bulk of the SIP acquittals and papers, so everything is electronic.
There's a lot of good things that will come out from this exercise. So this partnership, as we start today, we will be able to start full steam next year and beyond that. So once we have a system established, I think it will roll out on its own. And we have district officers also placed in the districts to be able to fit the system. They will be able to track the performance.
Australian High Commission Minister Councillor Andrew Egan says this project will benefit the PNG government in terms of service delivery and development. Michelle Stephen, National MTV News.
The Lutheran Reformed Church is celebrating 30 years of its existence in Western Highlands Province. The church is expected to unveil its 10-year strategic plan. A week-long anniversary celebration started yesterday and will end next Monday.
Many Christians around the world are gearing up for the Christmas season, and Lutheran Reformed Church is no different. They got together for a dual celebration, Christmas and the 30 years of existence.
I felt that God has blessed us in many ways, corporately as a church and also individually as church members as well. And so celebrating, we also want to celebrate with the general public.
They broke away from the mainline Evangelical Lutheran Church in 1989 after some congregation members, mainly youths, who felt a spirit of revival in their lives. They started to change their approach of praise and worship to a more liberated way. The main Lutheran Church did not accept this action and decided that the liberal group leave the church. Today the church has over 2,500 members and 60 churches only present in Western Highlands, Mora and Port Moresby.
When this revival came, that pattern of worship changed, and as young men and women, we were like our desire was to praise God and have liberty in the worships, and that was something new for the church and the elders in the church.
The church is planning to have 120 more churches built in the next 10 years. They are also planning to build a Bible college, build a business arm of the church to support their work, and partner with the government to be part of the change in society in all aspects of life.
I want to get every people together and run through purposely this 10-year strategic plan.
This church was part of a spirit movement that took place in the 1980s all around the world. People started to break away from the mainline Christian churches and form the revival or reformed churches, altering some of the mainline churches' beliefs and way of worshipping. Vasinata Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
Port Moresby's Badihagwa community will soon have access to basic training systems and health programs following the launch of a new Gym in a Box prototype. Gym in a Box is a community-based project aimed at providing basic gym and hospital facilities to people in the grassroots and rural areas. Benjamin Manimbi reports.
Badihagwa Anwar Bada witnessed the launching of a community-based project called the Gym in a Box. Grassgate Project CEO Taina Booth explained the initiative is a concept aimed at encouraging good exercise and fitness at the village level.
You know, everybody here loves sport. We love rugby league, we love soccer, we love volleyball, you name it, we'll play it, rain, hail or shine. And so this particular facility is combining our love for sport and taking elite training systems and bringing it to the village or settlement or wherever you live. It is a multi-purpose facility, so the idea is that half of it is functional gym and the other half is like it could be an office.
The project began as a dream of former PNG athlete Kila Mala, who wanted to give back to the community.
It took me a few days to search for potential donors, support, but it took me only a few hours to get my reply from Grasscat project. Different programs will be delivered through Gym in the Box, programs like sporting groups, fitness programs, school holiday programs for children, health and well-being programs for adults, programs for disabilities, sports education programs for coaches, trainers and team managers, education on health, nutrition, physio services, education awareness programs, violence against women, TB, HIV, etc.
The Gym in a Box is an initiative by the Grasscat Project in partnership with the local SME Solar Solutions under the sponsorship of Kina Petroleum and Steamships. Present at the launch were local Motu Koita Assembly members, as well as was former Kumul David Wesley.
Well, my involvement is I run the rugby league and the sports and social impact development for Grasscat's project. So they've brought me on board at the moment as a contractor volunteer. So I'll be taking care of the work with Killer on the grassroots area with the coaching. So my background is I grew up in Papua New Guinea till I was 8 and then moved to Australia. My father passed away when I was only 9, so my way out of that was playing sports and then having good mentors around me. So in a way, what I'm doing now is kind of giving back in a lot of ways that I got given to as my coaches did for me.
The Gym in a Box on show launched this week is a prototype, which will be on trial for a 6 to 12-month period before being rolled out to other centers. Benjamin Manibi, National EMTV News.
A community health worker in the Ungai Bena district has confirmed facing problems with medicine shortage. CHW at the COK 8 post, Johnson Ravana, said they have been running short of anti-malarial drugs and it takes months before new stock arrives.
Community health worker Johnson Ravana has been manning the COK 8 post in the Ungai Bena district for over 20 years. The 8 post was built for the primary school, however, it also serves Lower Bena LLG's wards 1 and 2. Mr. Ravana is the only one who works here.
So put in mind of it all. You walking good. You saving more something, you saving and Mr. Boss.
According to Mr. Ravana, over 1,000 people use this 8 post. When he has medicine, he treats patients. When he doesn't, he refers them to larger health centers and hospitals. He says the 8 post has been running short of anti-malarial drugs.
So my supply come, I often say my people. My supply don't have to my area. I'm suffering. My community is suffering. So I put a note out on my door to talk. Supply is not alive. It's not coming. So I'm waiting.
The COK 8 post is not the only 8 post experiencing shortages. Several health centers in Ley and in other parts of Mora have also been facing similar problems. Mr. Ravana expressed his frustration, saying he has to have enough supplies to cater for the population.
Time marasin minawat na o patients domi o logo domi o mani dai. Mr. Fidim no what I'm human bintu. I'm living in this community. So we must say more. Time you got me saying more. Only not die.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Goroka.
You're watching Tuesday's News. We go for another break. When we return, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, and in New Zealand, police have revealed the identities of the 2 people still missing from the White Island eruption. But the poor conditions hampered today search around the volcano, and it comes as the country's adventurous tourism industry and the rules around it come under even more scrutiny.
As volcanic activity drops to levels not seen since before last week's eruption, there are fresh rumblings about the safety of our adventure tourism industry.
In terms of whether or not the regulations are fit for purpose, I think that is a question that needs to be answered.
As sure as night follows day, there will need to be an independent inquiry.
So many questions are still unanswered, but police today confirming the identities of two people still missing. 17-year-old Australian Winona Jane Langford and 40-year-old local guide Hayden Brian Marshall Inman.
We're forever hopeful. He loved the volcano, he loved the ocean. So we just hope that he doesn't want to stay there forever.
Deteriorating conditions forced police to abandon their search plans early this morning. Hikari White Island is usually visible from here. Now hidden by low cloud and driving rain, it's unclear when the search for the two missing bodies will resume.
I know that every effort is being made by police and I believe defence members to locate the two missing people.
The visiting Foreign Minister acknowledging the mammoth efforts to save the lives of her countrymen and the comforting of relatives whose loved ones did not survive.
We're surrounded by Christmas and celebration, but they face tragedy and devastation, and our hearts and thoughts are with them every step of the way.
2 hours south of Whakatane, many gathered to farewell White Island tour guide Tepini Mangi, a job he'd held for just 2 months. His death putting his job and others in adventure tourism under an inquisitorial spotlight.
And we know there are questions that we can all have our different views on, like whether people should have, and tourists in particular, should have been on the island at that time, what the future is for that.
I don't think you can point the blame at anyone, to be honest. They've done the same thing for the last 30 years going on the island. And it's been successful every time.
But past success is no longer a measure for future visits, now stopped indefinitely.
To India, and at least 50 people have been injured after police in India stormed a protest at a university. There has been mass demonstration throughout much of the country over a new citizenship law, which may be seen as anti-Muslim.
The crowds are swelling, and so is the anger. Another day of protests against India's new citizenship law. It grants amnesty to illegal immigrants, but only non-Muslim ones. Today, here outside one of Delhi's top universities, they were also agitating against police action. This is footage from inside the local hospital on Sunday night. Dozens of injured students were brought in.
Police came inside, they dragged us out.
They say they were beaten by police when they were protesting. One of those wounded, Tanjil Chaudhary, has broken fingers on both hands and a head injury. He also showed us marks of where he'd been beaten on his back.
When they caught us, they thought that we are the stone peddlers, so they started beating us up. We were begging for mercy.
The BBC has spoken to this man, Mohammad Tamim, a passerby, who says he got caught up in the violence and was shot at by the police. A top officer denies it.
There was no gunshot,
no gunshot, absolutely. No gunshot was fired. Well, it's not a peaceful protest which sets public transport buses on fire. It's not a peaceful protest in which the crowd of 1,500, they start pelting stones on the residents.
What started in this campus, in this university in Delhi, has now spread far beyond it. Many believe that young people here who were trying to voice their dissent in a democracy were crushed by the state. And that's triggered a reaction across India. Today, people marched in Lucknow, Mumbai, Dehradun, Kolkata. An unprecedented show of dissent against what they see as an attack on the freedom of expression and the secular ideals India was founded on.
This is National EMTV News. We go for another break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Tukai Sports. PNG boxers that secured bouts in Australia did not perform well, with 2 boxers getting technical knockouts. Freddie Merapi and Paul Ben did not last the 6 rounds, both getting TKO'd in the 2nd round. John Ake was the only PNG boxer lasting the 6 rounds, but also lost on points.
Three professional boxers from PNG, Freddie Merapi, Paul Ben and John Ake, secured professional boxing bouts against Australian opponents. Despite the short preparations, they were willing to give their best on the night. The first bout was between Paul John against Australian opponent Tyler Wilson in the 84 kg division. Despite heavy punches from Paul, the experienced Wilson had height advantage and covered up well, blocking Paul's punches. Paul Ben didn't last long, with Wilson's jabs leading to a TKO. The referee had to stop the match, awarding Wilson the win. PNG's Freddie Merapi took on Sam Mawson in the second bout. Freddie had a few fight downs out and seemed optimistic for a win as he made his way to the ring. Looking trim and fit, Merapi and Mawson exchanged jabs in the opening round, building up momentum heading into the second round. Freddie obviously used all he had in the first round, running out of breath, forcing the referee to cut the bout short, handing the win to Sam Mawson. The final bout was between John Ake from PNG and Shannon Mawson from Australia. John and Menton exchanged punches in the opening 4 rounds and lasting longer than his 2 other PNG boxers. John had to cover quickly for the 2 final rounds, but Shannon kept coming at him and landing the punches. John clearly out of breath, letting his guard down, Shannon winning the bout on points.
2-all for your winner by unanimous decision, Shannon.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The national government support to soccer in PNG is gathering momentum. This time, the national government, through the PNG Sports Foundation, has given the PNG Football Stadium on a 99-year lease to the PNG FA. PNG FA will now partner with FIFA to improve this facility.
The PNG Football Stadium at the Sir John Guy Sports Complex was built in 2016 for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. The field has been under the Sports Foundation, but now the government has handed over the facility to the Papua New Guinea Football Association.
We are talking about that football stadium to soccer. So that way, there's a lot of sports out there, but we understand that soccer gets a lot of funding through FIFA, quarterly funding. So it can also help us, the government, to make sure that you look after the facilities.
President of Papua New Guinea Football Association, John Capinato, confirmed it was a 99-year lease from the Sports Foundation.
With the PFS, PNG has now got a lease, a 99-year lease with Sports Foundation. So FIFA is going to help us develop that place to make it a home of football. That's been signed about 3 months ago.
President John Capinato is looking at a total overhaul of the facility that hasn't seen much done since the FIFA tournament in 2016. The pitch is patched with dry areas and the facility is in dire need of renovation. Capinato says FIFA will be helping in developing the venue to the home of football in Papua New Guinea.
It's a condition given by FIFA that if a Sports Foundation hands over this facility to PNGFA, FIFA with PNGFA will work together to improve the pitch and also work on the interior and the outward of the stadium. So that's the commitment by FIFA to PNGFA.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
Hikari United have confirmed the names of 3 players, but are waiting for final paperwork to be done before these international players arrive in January. The players are on a loan from a free agent, which Hikari management did not want to disclose, but they did confirm the players are here and their agency at no cost to Hikari.
Hikari United won their first NSL match on Saturday against Star Mountain FC, 3 points to 0. The club is looking forward to 3 players from overseas. The announcement was made on Friday, but Hikari only gave names of the 3 players. Jos Ricardo and Eric Joe are from Brazil, while Diego Andres Martins was from Portugal. Hikari manageress Voni Capinato says it's a free agent that is organizing the recruitment of the 3 players.
We have brought them in. It was not much of us paying that. It's a free agent that someone is helping us, and they release them out from the pro league, and they love to help our country.
Voni Capinato wasn't giving any specific details away, but said the agency loaning the players to Hikari have been helping to develop football in the world, with Hikari their choice in Oceania.
We can talk further about that, but it is them, it's a loan player from that organization that they say they've been helping around the world football, and in Oceania they choose to take Hikari.
Hikari is looking forward to receiving the players in January for the NSL season and the Oceania Champions League, Group A, which Hikari will be playing in, to be hosted in Papua New Guinea.
We are looking forward to have these 3 players if all the paperwork are done for their visas and stuff. I'm expecting them early next year, that's January, to be part of our NSL, our Premier League and our Champions League in Feb.
Fidelis Sukina National, EMTV Sports.
Don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports right after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League, and the competition winner for this year's ID24 NCD Eastern Highlands Cup will walk away 20,000 kina richer. This is part of a commitment from the sponsor of the off-season tournament for the next 5 years.
The competition was launched on Sunday at the Tarama Barracks in Port Moresby. The ID24 NCD Eastern Highlands Cup is an off-season rugby league tournament for the Eastern Highlanders residing in Port Moresby. The league sponsor ID24 says it's committed to the competition and it wants to help and see youths succeed in rugby league.
Like every weekend, all go around Biketa or start in the sports. That's what we want in the city. So now I'm also 20,000 cash money every year for 5 years, 2019 to 2023.
The competition organizers are grateful for the sponsorship for the next 5 years.
Businessman pull up, moneyman pull up. Remember, pamas time give letter all say come. Letter blow me say we go go nothing. But now we talk thank you osem Derek Mara
A total of 26 teams are taking part in the 2019-2020 season that runs for 10 weeks. The competition now is into its 5th round and breaks for 2 weeks for Christmas and New Year. The remaining 5 weeks will be played in 2020. Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV Sports.
Still on Rugby League, the SP Hunters pre-season training camp has been a new experience for young 5'8" Saki Pita. Pita was selected into the pre-season squad from Intercity Cup team Wagi Tumbe.
Saki Pita was surprised when called up to join the SP Hunters pre-season camp. This was his first year playing in the Intercity Cup competition with Wagi Tumbe, who lost in the semi-finals to runners-up Hella Wigman.
I thank the governor and our chairman, and Chuaga people are more crazy in the rugby league, so when something like this happens and 1 or 2 boys join the squad or something like this, they really heavy and they like doing all crazy things. So.
Peter has always idolized players like Ase Boas and Stargrowth Amian and is excited to be in camp with Ase. He says he has been learning from Boas, who has been helpful throughout the pre-season.
Assist me with a lot of things, like going to gym, come to field and set up. Many things are new, so he just came in and said, you do this, do that, and give me a lot of advice.
Making the final team for the 2020 season will be a dream come true for Peter. This is a new experience for the 22-year-old from Jiwaka, and he says he's excited to train under coach Matthew Church.
Back from the start, we start with the rugby career. We haven't started something like this, so when coming here, I think it's something good that I learned. they keep me and give me a chance, then I think I'll take it with 2 hands and give my best.
The SB Hunters pre-season squad will go for a break on the 21st of December before returning on the 6th of January to continue pre-season training. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
The Rugby Union and the Deaf Rugby Union under the National Capital District Rugby Union is gaining momentum, with sponsorship for the National Deaf Sevens team also on the horizon. Interest by sponsors to back the Deaf Rugby Union players is promising for the concept moving forward into next season.
Just last month, the Deaf men's national team were here at the EMTV office as a last-ditch effort to secure sponsorship to travel to Fiji. Sadly, the team missed out on traveling to the Oceania Deaf Rugby Sevens. Over the weekend, the players made it back onto the field as part of the Rookie Sevens at Bava Park. The players more determined than ever to perform. President of National Capital District Rugby Union, Shibel Druma, says after the word went out that the team needed sponsorship, sponsors have shown interest.
Definitely interest came after everybody learned that they weren't able to make it due to the funding constraints, and so we do have a few corporate companies which are speaking with us and talking to the deaf community as well too. So hopefully some of them sign across the dotted line in 2020 and we start to really build and establish deaf rugby in Papua New Guinea.
It is still a new concept though, Deaf Rugby Union in Papua New Guinea. But the players have had ample time to fine-tune their rugby union skills.
It's still a new concept to them, but we're starting to see the numbers come through for their community, and it's quite promising. The future definitely is quite promising for Deaf Rugby.
But progress for Deaf Rugby Union in Papua New Guinea will show in the 15s format of the game. So far, only 2 teams play 15s in the NCDRU competition.
We launched it last year. It was very, very new. The numbers are starting to grow. I think once they have a full 15 season, which they're planning to do in 2020, then we'll really start to see the numbers increase quite swiftly. It's always through the 15s rugby that we see growth because it attracts a lot more people to the game. So.
Fidelis Tukina National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports for this evening. Up next, I'll look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Fine weather expected in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma and Alotau. Mostly fine as well in Popondetta. To the Momasa region, mostly fine in Ley, cloudy weather in Wau and Madang. Thundery showers in Wewak, rain and showers expected in Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, a few showers expected in Kokopo and Rabaul, a shower or two as well in Lorengau. Thundery showers in Kavieng and Buka, and partly cloudy in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, mostly fine in Goroka and Kundiawa, partly cloudy in Mount Hagen, and a few showers expected over the next 24 hours in Mendi and Wabeg. I look at the forecast for small ships for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, Mule Island, to Hood Point and Aroma Coast, to Samurai Island, and waters of Finchafen through Vitias and Dampier Strait to CSE Island to Long Island, sea 0.5 to 1.3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Middle Bay Islands with waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel, Finchafen, and waters of Long Island to Karkar, Medang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, as well as waters of Manus in its western group of islands, and waters of New Ireland and Bougainville, and waters of East and West New Britain, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas light with southwest to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Solomon Sea, seas light with southwest to southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas light with southwest to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots. And the Pacific Ocean, seas light with southwest to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots as well.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Tuesday, the 17th of December 2019. On behalf of the National MTV News team, have a pleasant evening. Good night.